If you've ever felt like your real estate team was built by accident or that you're the bottleneck to its growth, you're not alone. I hear this all the time from leadership in teams. In today's episode of the Built to Scale podcast, we are unpacking the common traps that keep team leaders stuck. Inconsistent standards, unclear roles, businesses that depend too heavily on the owner and the team leader. We'll explore why many teams plateau at the same level and how to identify if you're running a business or you're just in a high-paying job, and what it actually looks like to get out of what we call glob mode and into something truly scalable. Whether you're just getting leverage for the first time or leading a team that's already producing big numbers, this conversation is likely to change how you think about structure, leadership, and profitability. That being said, let's get started with today's episode. Hi, I'm Andy Fenstermaker, and I run Scale for Teams. We help real estate teams grow through scalable systems, strategies, and software.
Hey everyone, I'm McKissack. I'm the co-founder of SKALE, and my family has built a top real estate team in the country, ended up selling that for 7 figures, and I've spent the last decade working with top producers, helping them figure out how to build a business. So with that being said, Andy, what are we talking about today?
Today, we are digging into the topic of how real estate teams get stuck and really what to do about it if you find yourself in that situation. So to kind of kick that into gear, in previous episodes, we've talked a little bit about what we've pinpointed as the 3 kind of key levels of a team. And I want to go a little bit further into glob mode and kind of refresh viewers and listeners' memory on what glob mode is and what that looks like. Press, what does that look like?
Well, glob mode is a not so fun place to be. I think the best way to describe what is if your real estate team was in a glob, how would you know? Is it feels like one person, credit card, right? One person on the team's credit card is attached to a whole bunch of people. And there's no strategy, really. There's no system to follow. There's no accountability. It's just sort of like we're winging it. And the other tall tale sign, Andy, is that there's likely no profit from the team, right? If you're the leader of the team, you might be making money, but if you strip out your production from the team, how well is your team doing, right? If you're winning but the team's not, that probably means that you're funding this glob to continue to move forward, and you're probably not making any profit once you strip your money out of it.
Yeah, and the second level we call a group, and that tends to be one where some systems are in place but others are not, right, Press? And you can talk just a little bit more about like what systems they might have versus what they might not.
Yeah, I think from a systems side, once you've sort of graduated, I would say that, well, even before systems, is you actually, like, you're a leader and you have a plan. The people are following the leader and they're following the plan. So you probably, from a systems perspective, you likely have pretty good systems for the production side of the business. Where you might be lacking is on the people side of the business, right? So your production might be really strong. You know how to sell real estate, but you don't necessarily have your team set up as a business, meaning you don't have as many people systems where you are duplicating those results and ultimately have a clear plan of how you go and add more people to the business and grow.
Yeah. So why do you think so many team leaders and team owners fall into like the glob mode, really, without necessarily realizing it?
I think a lot of people start out to build a team because it sounds good. It seems like the next natural thing to do. And I think that when you don't come into it with a clear plan and a clear understanding of how you build a well-run organization, you're doomed to fail from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And here's the good thing about what I know about people who build a team. It's first off, give yourself a little grace because you spent time building the production side of the business and those skill sets that you have. You now have to do that same thing on the people side of the business, right? Learning to be a good leader. How do I help people win and not just win myself? How do I provide accountability in a way that feels like I'm doing something to them, I'm doing something for them, not to them. And I would just say the first reason people get stuck, Andy, is because they don't come in with a clear understanding of what it takes to build a well-run team. And when you don't know what it looks like, you tend to run around with your hair on fire in real estate, and you're probably so busy and you're not hiring the right people, you're not giving them the time they need to win, you're not holding them accountable to hitting their goals. And those would be some of the clear signs that you're probably in glob mode and you haven't yet graduated to the other two levels.
Yeah, one thing that keeps coming to my mind as we talk about this is just the path of an entrepreneur at the onset, right? Like, I think of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, and you have the S quadrant, which is the self-employed, and you have the B quadrant, which is business. And I think there's this interesting disconnect between the two, where self-employed doesn't, when you start adding people, self-employed doesn't necessarily mean you have a business, because you can't step away from it. And so you think you have a business, but you don't necessarily have a business, because it's not like you said, it's not, the structure isn't there to carry it forward. So I want to talk a little bit about the cost of staying stuck. What is it? What's that opportunity lost, or other factors that are costing you as a team owner or team leader from actually growing?
Well, the cost is in multiple ways. The first clear sign is you're likely, if you're running a glob, if your business would be described as a glob, you're making less money than you would be making if you were out on your own just selling real estate. Like, if you didn't have a team and it was just you out there producing, you would probably make more money, I would almost guarantee it, than you running a glob. And so that would be, the cost right there is money, right? The other cost is going to be time, headache, stress, right? All the things that come with actually running a business that has no clear directive or plan, or it has the wrong people, or it has no systems or no value. And then the other piece that I don't think we pay enough attention to is energy. And, Andy, like, if you want a clear sign that you are in glob mode, pay attention to your energy. If your energy is not excited when you wake up in the day to go work with the people that you're in business with, you probably have the wrong people. You probably have a business you're not enjoying. So pay attention to your energy level, because that's going to be your clear directive of, I've either got a glob or I have a team that I'm excited about.
Yeah. And that's a challenging one, because entrepreneurs and real estate agents, really interchangeable. We're hustlers. We get out there and we work ourselves to death. And it can be hard to balance and pinpoint what, is this zapping my energy because this is my natural state of being. I'm going to run and run and run and run and work until I basically fall down and say I have to take time for myself. Or is it the way the team is operating that is zapping my energy? Do you have any thoughts on how you might be able to pinpoint that kind of discrepancy there?
I think intuitively, like, if I asked you, like, I'm looking right at you, you're a team owner, and I say, hey, do you get energy from waking up and going and working with your team? Like, intuitively listen to that little voice inside that says yes or no right away, because I can almost guarantee that you know it by the way that you feel when you get out of bed. I know when I work on a project or I'm working with someone that I'm excited about, like, it's hard to sleep the night before. I'm rolling out of bed. Like, I'm thinking in the shower about, like, what I'm about to get to do. If your thoughts are gravitating towards the thing that you're about to go do, it's probably giving you energy. If your thoughts start to trail away and you're thinking about what you get to do after that or what you get to do over the weekend, like, you're not in a energy giving environment, you're in an energy sucking environment. So listen to your thoughts. Like your thoughts will cue you in on where you need to be. And then the other thing is listen to the language of the people you're in business with. Are you with accountable people, or are you with victim mentality people? Are you with growth minded people, or are you with people who have a limited mindset? You will hear it in their language. They will bring problems into your office and they will leave them on your desk when they leave the room. I'm looking at all those things to decide if I'm in an environment where I'm gaining energy or losing energy, Andy. I think those are all things that you need to look at. Give a holistic approach to figure out if you've, if you're stuck or if you're not.
That energy piece is so critical, I think, as you look at building a team, because I think that kind of gets into some of the stuff we'll talk about soon about breaking out from that chaos and building a team in a way that makes sense. So I guess that's a good point to pivot. So as we look at breaking out of that chaos, breaking out of those modes where you're just not feeling like you're getting the energy or you have the energy to really enjoy running a team, what are some of the steps that leaders can take to start moving away from glob mode, etc.?
Well, the first thing is, all progress, Andy, in life starts with honest reality. I truly believe that. Like if you want to move beyond where you are, you have to take stock in what is my DNA in the situation I'm in right now. And there's almost always some of your DNA in it. Here's the truth. Who hired the people? Who built the team? You got to start with taking ownership of what you've created, the environment that has been assembled, and understand this truth. Everything is rebuildable. I have watched, Andy, with the teams that I have worked with, I have watched team after team. If they're willing to recognize reality, take ownership of what's been built, and realize that they don't want to relive the same situation, I have watched them in a span of 1 to 3 years rebuild their team into something that they wake up every day and are excited to go to work with those people, right? Too excited to expand and to go take territory because they did it right? And they took ownership and they went back and reworked the plan. So I think that'd be the thing I would say is own it and understand you can rebuild it. Those two things are absolutely have to be true in order for you to be able to get out of glob mode.
So, and we've had this conversation offline about some of the teams that you've worked with before, but I think there's an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper in that. What were some of the first things that, when you were working with one of those teams, what were some of the first things beyond getting very, very honest about where they were and how they were feeling and all of those kinds of things that you had that team leader, that team owner do?
So the place I like to start when I'm working with a team who's looking to rebuild is, and this may feel out of order, but I'll try to walk you through it. This has worked really well with the teams that I've worked with. Number one, I ask them to get really clear on what their values are. Like this sounds weird, Andy, but I believe that we talk about, everyone should have a mission and a vision. And then we kind of and values tend to be like the last thing that's suggested. So the place I like to start with team owners when they're looking, maybe they're not happy with what they've built and they sort of want to go back to rebuild mode, figure out how to get out of being a glob. They want to truly build a team where they are excited to wake up every day. I have them start with their values. And so I will ask them, what is important to you? Give me what is important. Give me the things in your life that are the most important. It might be family. It might be travel. It might be time. It might be time with their kids, time with their spouse, time to golf, right? I get them to get clear on their values. And then from there, I then move to vision. I'm like, okay, so we've got your values. You're clear. I'm clear on what's important to you. Now let's talk about your vision. What would an ideal environment look like for you to make the kind of money you want to make and have the life you want to live? And I'll have them write it out. I'll have them verbalize it to me. I need them to get clear on what that looks like. That exercise is very telling because I've had teams I've had someone who owns a team who do this exercise and realize that they didn't need a team to get the life that they wanted. Like the amount of money that they wanted to make, they could do on their own with less stress, less headache, and all they needed was an admin. And that was great because that was clarity, right? They now knew that oh, I don't have to have a big team to make the money I want to make, right? So that's, I would say values, then vision, then I would go to mission. I'm like, okay, so if this is what you want to build, how do you want to do it? Like, what's it look like on a daily basis to do that? And typically they will start talking about that. A lot of people who get to a team, Andy, they no longer want to do it by themselves. Like there's a piece of their values that wants to succeed with people. And if you start to hear that language, like it's a good sign that if your vision's big enough, like you're going to need a team to do it, because we all have 24 hours and we only have so much time to be able to accomplish our goals in those hours. So at some point you're going to have to succeed through people and add other people in. So I will always start with that. And then I will sort of walk them through the correct structure of building a team. And that's usually where I like to start.
Nice. It's interesting because we talked a little bit about entrepreneurship, and a couple things that come to mind. A lot of times agents, it's not always the case, I'm a good example of that, agents tend to be extroverts. They want people. And like I said, not in every case, but so they want to surround themselves with people. They want to build something big. And the second thing that comes to mind is you're talking about mission, vision, values, all of these key things that businesses should have. And when you're building a team, you're really building a business. And so those core things, if you start taking a look at what are some other businesses out there, what are their mission statements, their vision statements, their value statements, how do they craft those things? Not as like a way to copy them, but to better understand how they position the business. We've got some good worksheets, and I'll try to link to some of them down below on your mission statement, your vision statement, value statement, some of that kind of stuff.
As you're starting to look at your team and like what's your motivation of doing it, the best teams that I know, the leader is focused on transformation, not transactions. If your goal is to just make more money, you're probably going to struggle building a team. But if you get excited about the fact of seeing transformation of other people, you get excited about the people that you get to be in business with and them building the life that they want, that's the right motivation to start with building a team. The other place to start when it comes to building a team, Andy, is I love the idea in this business that the more job, and I say this all the time, I'll probably say it on every time we get on a video, but the better you get at handing jobs away, the more money you can make. And I think that's the right motivation when if you're rebuilding the team. Like, what's the right things to hand off first? And then what's my core motivation when I hand those things away to the right people? It should be transformational in nature, not transactional in nature, because I've just watched so many team leaders who they set out and, there's nothing wrong with making more money. The challenge becomes when people in your world feel like, number one, you bring in the wrong people, but number two, when the people, even if you bring in talent, if they feel like you're doing it for you and not for them, they're not going to stay.
We'll be talking a little bit more about the hiring path in a future episode, and that kind of ties straight into what you're talking about of which items to give away first and second and third on down the line. But one other thing that we haven't really touched on in this episode is the system size of things. And this you see both at the glob mode with the lack of systems, but also at the team mode where you see systems built around production, but not necessarily people. So why don't we talk a little bit about systems on the production side and systems on the people side, and ways that both of those can kind of hold a team back from truly scaling?
Yeah, for sure. Well, on the production side, I would always start with, and to be honest with you, this is true on either side, but when you start to systematize your business, let's talk about the production side first. It's actually not probably what you would think. My first thought when I thought about like, okay, like I'm getting into production, I'm gonna build systems to help me sell more real estate. Like my mind first goes to CRM and database. I actually think that's not where you start. Where you should start is your own personal systems, models, whatever you want to call them. And here's some really good ones for you. Number one, what's your system for productivity? Like, how do you become the most productive human you can be? And surprisingly, what you find when you look at productive people, Andy, that doesn't mean filling every hour of every day with something to do. It does mean that you have a really good morning routine. It does mean that you probably exercise and eat rather healthy, right? And fill your body with things that are going to give you energy, not take energy. It probably also means things that you wouldn't think about, like blocking time with your family, time blocking time to do things that matter, time blocking time in your business to actually work on the business and not in the business. So I would say you got to start there with, how do I personally become the most productive that I can be? And then from there, you can start to look at, okay, I'm now highly productive individual. Now, what are the systems that I need on the production side, like database and CRM and things and lead generation, right? All those things would be sort of the next level to move into. Now, on the people side, it also starts with, again, personal productivity, but from a people perspective, not from a production perspective. So I would ask you on the people side, things like, how much time are you spending looking for talent? And most of the time, Andy, what do you think I hear when I ask a team owner, how much time are you actually looking for talent?
Not much.
That's right. If I say, show me your calendar, right? Where is your time blocks to actually look for talent? Show me how many conversations you've had this week with people who are looking to switch careers or switch companies.
Well, what comes to mind as you talk about this is the concept. I know. I believe Alex Hormozy talks about it. I think I've heard other people talk. I mean, your mom talks about it. Linda talks about it. Channels. Mm-hmm. It's devoting blocks of time to this specific task and calendaring that out. And so like Alex Hormozy, he has maker time and manager time, and he splits that very, very decisively. And if he's in maker time, he's in maker time. He is doing things. If he's in manager mode, he is with people, managing people. And I think that's a key thing that we can take from that is truly devoting time and having that where it's not being eaten away at. And what I mean by that is, and I heard this one from Brené Brown, where talking about like leading this team, she'd have like this open door policy. But what the problem with that was that all of a sudden it's just like new things. And because that open door policy, that free time was there, people would just take it. And so it kind of made her move away from actually working on the business and working in the business.
Well, the truth is, Andy, people don't have a time problem. They have a purposeful time problem. That's the key, right? We've got to be, and here's what I love, and we're definitely talking about this on a future episode, so I won't spend a lot of time on it. It kills me when I see real estate agents try to be purposeful in their business and they believe in this hustle culture where when I say purposeful, I mean that where they think they're being purposeful, but what they're really being is all-encompassing, obsessive in a sense, where they make everything about sacrificing their family and I'm just going to put everything into my business right now and later my family will get me. The most successful people that I respect did not build their life that way. They built their life with purpose. They had purposeful time for work. They had purposeful time for their family, and they did not sacrifice the things that mattered most on the journey to build a business. You can do both, but it's not, what's the phrase? It's simple, not easy, right? It's simple, not easy.
As we kind of round out this particular episode, you touched on something early on, which is that your family built a solid team and then turned and sold it for seven figures. What are some key lessons that you have gleaned from watching your parents, Jim and Linda McKissack, do that? What are some things that we can hopefully give to our listeners and viewers that they can help implement into their business?
Okay, couple key strategic things. First, this is one that you may have not thought of. They trademarked their name. And that was an interesting concept, especially for the time in which they did it, when nobody in real estate was doing that. In fact, today, there's probably still very few that have actually done that. But what that allowed them to do was to build something that people couldn't just take their database, take their name, and go and duplicate in their city, because they trademarked their name. So they actually had something to sell. The other thing is they did what you're supposed to do, which is build a database. They actually had a living, breathing database with a significant amount of people that got built over time, that they had a systematic plan to communicate with, and that produced a referral environment where they got repeat and referral business on a regular basis. The other thing they did is they got in business with talented people, and those talented people, they gave them a big upside opportunity, and ended up being the sell of the business actually came from someone inside the organization who was running the team. So that was a natural way for them to build in the sellability of their business by bringing in talent. The other thing I would tell you, and this one might be not as, might be obvious to some, but maybe not to others. Linda McKissack, my mom, is the most learning-based individual I've ever met in my entire life. She still regularly is on the front row of masterminds, and she hasn't even been selling real estate for a long time. Like, she's still, but yet she still shows up and learns everything she can in order to help real estate agents succeed. And I think the people that I respect the most, that build the biggest businesses, that do it the right way, are the most learning-based individuals. And so you should be plugging into things like what we have with SKALE. You should be plugging into a coach. You should be going to masterminds. You should be learning everything you can about how to build models and systems into your business, because I truly think they were able to do what they did at a time when nobody, and quite frankly, since then, very few have been able to do, which is sell your business for over $1 million. And that is by being learning based and learning how to do it the right way. And they listen to the right mentors, the right coaches. And that's really, honestly, Andy, what my vision, and I know your vision, is for us to help other people, like build an asset that you don't one day just walk out of this business and hand over the keys to nobody. Like, you're building something. You have a legacy that you can either pass on to family or that you could sell. But if you don't do it the right way, then you're going to walk away with nothing. And that kills me more than anything when I watch agents walk out of the business after 20, 30, 40 years and, quite honestly, have nothing to show for it.
For sure, for sure. Well, that really kind of wraps things up. I will take us on out, and we'll see you in the next episode.
All right. See you next time.
Okay, so real estate teams don't get stuck because they're not working hard. They get stuck because they're not working with clarity. And often, the very skills that helped you build your early successes aren't the ones that are going to take you to the next level. Down in the description below, we will have a link to where you can get our mission, vision, and values worksheet. This can help bring clarity to your business and your life. So if anything from this episode resonated, especially around rethinking your role, tightening your team structure, or building a business that can really run without you, take a few minutes and reflect on where your team is truly headed and share your thoughts in the comments below. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with somebody who will be impacted by its message. Find us on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, etc., and we'll see you in the next episode.